Our next speaker is David Riekie. He's Director of Adavale Resources Ltd.
Thank you for that very fine, kind introduction. A very warm welcome to everyone that's actually being able to attend today's conference in a physical form, and those that actually, unfortunately, can only attend by way of the virtual link. But as we all know, that's becoming more of the norm rather than the exception. Hopefully we can see our way out of this, but I welcome everyone. I'd like to spend the 15 minutes allocated to talk to you about Adavale Resources. I am a director of the company. I'm also a shareholder of the company and have been for a shareholder for some 12 months. And I've seen the progress that Adavale's made over that period of time. You know, the heading of our presentation is talking about what we consider to be this Adavale equation. We've got nickel, we have exploration opportunity in Tanzania, which to us translates to a significant level of potential that requires some hard work, which we're quite happy to undertake. We think we've got a few things right at this point in time. It's early on in the journey, but we believe that we're at the right time or inflection point in the nickel market. So we consider we've got the right metal. We're in the right location, we have a fabulous address, and we believe now that we've got an emerging correct strategy that's being reflected in the team that we've been able to assemble. We're presently seeing an uptick in the nickel price. We see that there's a level of stability starting to find its way into that commodity. But like everything, there are fluctuations. We think the cycle is the right one. To unlock the value, we've been undertaking a diamond drilling program, which is progressing steadily and nicely. We're onto our third hole, roughly 1,200 metres in, 8 holes of a 3,000 metre drilling program that's underway. We think we've positioned ourselves nicely with regards to the battery metal boom, the EV thematic. That seems to be strong. It's reflected in the previous roles I've undertaken. I'm a strong believer and I have a strong conviction that we're in a super cycle in respect of that metal. The tenements we have actually acquired have been based on some significant diligence around selecting these licenses alongside of what we see as a premier undeveloped, to be developed, a nickel opportunity in Kabanga. 58 million tonnes at 2.6% nickel is very tidy by any standard. That's an opportunity that we look to sort of be a direct beneficiary of with some of the monies that are going to be spent on it. We'd like to paddle our own canoe. We see that as a neighbour, it shows the prospectivity of the region that we're in. We've adopted a very strategic, methodical approach to our drilling program. We're trying to fast track, but we also want to be insightful in using whatever information that becomes available with the work that we're doing to vectoring in on opportunities that will see us discover what we would like to see as an opportunity that will take us to a development pathway. I'll spend a little bit of time talking about our board. I won't dwell on this too much. We've got a lot of experience with the right professionals that have actually shown and demonstrated their potential to unlock value in Tanzania, and that comes directly from Grant Pierce, our chairman. We've got an array of people that have now joined the board. I've got African experience as well as Rob, that's also had some experience in that region. We've also seen the appointment of Mr. John Hicks, who's got some deep knowledge when it comes to nickel and discovery. So we think we've got the right professionals at the board level, providing that level of stewardship. But we only can really be as good as the professionals that are working alongside us and with us to unlock the value. And we're lucky to have competent persons in Dave Dodd, who is located in South Africa, that can springboard into Tanzania. A very important feature of doing business anywhere in this world, as we know with COVID dominating a lot of people's decision-making and activities. We've also got some very well-equipped and credentialed geophysicists and geologists that are supporting us in this with Stephen and Gavin. I won't dwell too much on this. We've approximately 300 million shares on issue. We're sitting sub $20 million with market cap. At this point in time, we've got a treasury of $1.42 million at 30 June and no debt. Top 20 shareholders, 35 to 40%. It's a reasonably open register. Titled here, Leveraging Off Giants in Our Neighbourhood. We need to look to our own ground, but we actually find comfort in the fact that we have one of the largest undeveloped and to-be-developed nickel opportunities in the world. So we think we've got a world-class address alongside our neighbour. The important thing to note here is that a nickel agreement with the Tanzanian government is proceeding on the basis that there is going to be a significant investment in this area, not only for their own project, but certainly the infrastructure that's going to support the development. Importantly, we've also got data that we've been able to rely upon that's been used in the delineation of our targets, of which we have many. That's been derived from BHP. So it's a very sound geochemical database that's now being supported with geophysicals, EM data. It's assisting us in that development and refinement of those licenses that we see as highly prospective. I won't dwell too much on this other than to point out that we really are sitting in that particular orogenic belt that is providing us with the greatest level of comfort that we're in the right location. Our address is, like I've said a number of times, it is a good address. Our ground holdings are approximately 1,200 square kilometres, of which in and around Kabanga is roughly 900 square kilometres. So we see that opportunity gives us a rather large footprint, which we need to make sure that we're vectoring in on. We're starting the journey. I mean, we've got the right geological setting and the exploration methodology that's come together to give us what we have, roughly 22 targets. You might work out pretty quickly if we're drilling 8 holes, we're not going to be able to test all those targets in the first instance, so we see that there's a rather deep opportunity that will come from the knowledge that we're going to be getting for our first 8 holes. The techniques that we've applied to great effect and we will continue to improve on have revolved around the data that we've been able to attain. We've got some nice coincident nickel and copper anomalies that we're using together with the other information to vector in on our drilling targets that we've identified at this time. We will continue to develop gravity and other magnetic surveys to support that and provide that, that richer database from which we can make some informed decisions. Our activities to date, the geochem studies were done at the end of last year and beginning of this year. That's resulted in a variety of additional programs that have come from that around magnetics and ground magnetics modelling, which has now resulted in the program that we've got underway. Obviously, the next steps is that we've got core that we'll need to analyse. We've got programs underway to cut the core and to assess that. We're also using, to great effect, portable XRF, which will give us some early term indicators as to what rocks we're going through and what the features of those cores are looking like. It's a positive way to look at it as a relevant tool when we're doing the exploration, but we're relying upon the assays to actually find out exactly how good they are. As we've seen, we've got some significant soil markers that we're running and assisting in our delineation of those targets that we've come up with, predominantly around Kabanga North. What we're seeing here is that there's also some correlations with the soils that we've actually seen results for, as well as some of the conductors. So we'll continue to use that as our way of vectoring in on what we're seeing here in these next 2 slides, the plates marrying up with the geophysics and the data. The first hole that we've drilled, we've actually released details of as to the location. We will continue to sort of undertake that program when it gets to a critical mass with regards to assays being assembled by us, so if we can release that to market. But we're progressing well. Like I said, we've drilled 3 holes, we're on our 4th hole, and we're looking to basically improve on that level of knowledge that we're gathering from this program, which is, like I said, 3,000 metres. Just by way of indication, we're looking to have the balance of those that drilling done on those results will follow from that, but the drilling will finish during the course of this month and probably tailing into a little bit of October. We've actually seen a pretty significant mood and sense checking on where we are in the cycle from what we saw is a rather unfavourable position in Tanzania. They're becoming a lot more favourable, and we've seen some exciting developments with President Hassan, with the philosophy she's adopted in actually trying to recreate the right tenor, the right measure of consideration given to investment, as well as a lot of the social issues that are important, as we've just heard about, in making sure that environmental and social issues are being properly considered. It's a notable point that they're removing barriers for investment. So we're seeing that there's probably going to be a stronger push towards the correlation with outcome and inputs from people that are looking to develop mines, and the acceptance and the support that's being generated within the government. It's an obvious next step in the improving favourability that we would like to see in an environment we see has rich opportunities and lots of potential. And by noting that, we've actually sort of see a number of companies that are shown up on the slide there have actually got a number of projects that are looking to go to that next level. I've actually been told by a friend that I don't have Strandline on there. I'll apologise for that, and I'll make sure that's remedied for the next presentation that we give. But there are a number of parties there that are looking at the benefit of that changed attitude to business. Improving tax processes, improving bureaucratic processes. So if I can recap, I've moved through that reasonably quickly. We can actually take questions at the end if people want any amplified detail on some of the information I've touched on. Again, I think we are looking at the right metal. It's the right time for us in the cycle. We think we've got a fabulous address. There's a highly prospective suite of very prospective targets that we've delineated. We're using a methodical approach to look at the geology, exploration data that's been assembled by BHP. And again, without labouring this, we are sitting alongside a giant in Kabanga. We'd like to see that some of those successes start to emerge in our exploration program. And I think with the government open to business and the board and management that we've assembled, we think we've got the right people. The strategy will emerge and will continue to be refined as we go forward. Exploration is just that. It's exploration. We're trying to use all of the knowledge and it's a very, very deep set of pool of knowledge that we're drawing from to try and extract the best value from the data that we've got, the data that we're assembling, and the processes that we're going through. So again, we think we've got the right strategy and the right attitude to adopt. We see that the board that has been assembled, and it's actually sort of seen myself and John Hicks join the board, actually started that journey back in September last year. So without patting ourselves on the back too much, we think we've actually moved pretty quickly to get to a position where we've not only interrogated the data, secured the licenses, undertaken the geochem, got the drill rigs out, got the drill rigs turning to get us to this point now. We'd like to think that people will join us with this journey. We do think that it's a highly prospective and an exciting period that we're going through. And I think for where we sit at the moment, we'd like to see people watch the developments of what we think is this Adavale equation, unlocking the potential that we've identified. So thanks very much for the attendance today. Happy to take any questions. And thank you for all the people that are on virtual that have stayed along a little bit longer to actually hear me talk. Thanks for that.